5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
What is evil? Who is evil? What makes them evil? That's what we're going to be talking about today on Ignition. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Dr. Chris Bergwald, and we want to set your faith ablaze so that you might live the adventure that comes from a relationship with Jesus Christ. Before we get into today's topic of evil, we want you to know that we love listener feedback. So if you've got questions about today's episode or ideas for future episodes, maybe ideas that have nothing to do with evil, please contact us. The easiest way to do so is by email. The address is ignition@sfcatholic.org. Again, ignition@sfcatholic.org. Renae, I've been told that I blow past that way too fast.
Sometimes you do.
Third
yes.
time, ignition, IGNITION, at SF as in Sioux Falls, not San Francisco.
Right.
SF Catholic, CATHOLIC.
Oh my goodness.
.org. I'm covering all my bases this time. Covering all the bases.
Good job. Good job.
So I'm joined once again in studio by Renae Kranz. Renae, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good. So we are going to, the roles are going to kind of reverse a little bit.
I don't really know how this is going to go.
It's going to go fantastic.
Okay.
We were talking the other day about some potential topics because I like it when you're interested in what I'm talking about.
I do too.
You know?
I don't like to be over here like, oh.
Yeah, and it makes it's harder for me to do a good show. Good show, Bergwald. It's harder for me to do a good show when you're nodding off over there in the co-host chair.
You make that sound like it happens a lot or something.
I don't know if it's
it
ever
does not.
happened. No, but I do think it makes it more interesting for me and you and for our listeners when there's a topic that you want to talk about, instead of just me all the time.
Right.
So changing things up a little bit in the sense that, so I asked you, Renae, what's something that you would be really interested in talking about? Because I'm interested in everything.
Yeah, right.
Everything that's ignition worthy.
Right.
I don't know if there's a topic that would fit for ignition that I would not be interested in.
Right. Yeah. So we actually had a list of topics that we kind of keep for multiple things, for Bishop's Bulletin, for all kinds of things. And so we kind of looked through that a little bit, and there was a couple things that popped up, but one was basically around the idea of, does evil exist? Right. And is evil like the opposite of good, or is that really a good comparison?
Right.
You know?
Right. Why is this a question?
Well, okay, so our culture seems like this is heavily focused on, like, if there's evil in the world, well, there can't be a God. You know, things like that. So I think that to continue to address this topic is always good in maybe helping clear up some confusion. Yeah,
I remember during the early months of the pandemic when even here in South Dakota, things kind of were shut down to some degree. I mean, most of us worked in this building, diocesan staffers, most of us, not all of us, but most of us worked from home. And one of the things, I said most, not, I wasn't going to.
I was home for 2 weeks, man.
Yeah. Were you home at all?
We have stuff I was home for 2 weeks.
You were?
Yeah. We got stuff to do here.
I know. The show must go on.
The show must go on.
I did some live streaming from my office. And one of the things I talked about in the context of this thing happening to us was divine providence and how God is always in charge. But the biggest question that comes, well, if he's always in charge, then what about the bad stuff that happens?
Right. Why does bad stuff happen to good people?
Why does bad stuff happen at all?
Yes.
If there is an all-loving, all-knowing, and all-powerful God. The other way that I think there's another dimension to this too, that people oftentimes have, well, if there is a God who is all good, then you have to have the balance of evil. So that's not as common, but like in people who, like said, New Age kind of movement, spiritual but not religious. Some in those circles, there's this idea that there needs to be balance and harmony, yin and yang. You know, there's that one circle with the and the black and the white have to balance. Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Can you have the good side without the dark side?
No, of course not.
So, for
you
the
just
first
wanted
reason
to bring
that
up a
you
Star
brought
Wars
up,
reference.
I saw a great. We're recording on the 13th.
Yes.
There was a great meme. The Orthodox Christians celebrate May the 4th on May 11th.
Okay.
Do you know why they celebrate May the 4th and May the 11th?
No.
So Orthodox, this is a total tangent, but it's ignition. It's a podcast.
We got time.
This is what happens in podcasts. Orthodox Christians celebrate Jesus' birth later than December 25th. So while we Star Wars devotees in the West, we celebrate Star Wars Day on May the 4th because we say
May the 4th be with you.
May the 4th be with you. In the East, they celebrate it a week later on May the 11th.
I'm so confused right now. Casey is laughing hysterically over here.
I thought that was really...
Well,
There's a
okay, but
certain
what are
level
we celebrating
of
on May 4th? You're just saying because...
Christmas.
I'm so confused.
Star Wars Christmas.
Okay, we need to move on because...
So evil.
Star Wars Christmas. I'm sorry, everybody. This is
I'm not.
a complete waste of your time.
Podcasts are meant to do this.
Oh, my.
Renae.
If you're driving in your car right now listening to this, I'm
Stay
sorry.
with us.
Please.
We will right the ship right now.
Okay.
All right. So there is this reality of no, you brought it up because you said, okay, no, never mind. Evil. So like, why does bad stuff happen at all? But then also yin and yang. Does there need to be balance in the force or the universe?
Because I've often heard that evil isn't the opposite of good. The opposite of good is the lack of good.
Evil
if that makes sense.
It's not the opposite. Evil is the lack of good.
Yeah.
So the problem here. So the philosophically theological problem is, if evil is something, either it's physical or spiritual substance, the way that my soul is something, or the way that my coffee mug is something, then who made it?
I was just going to say that. Then it had to have been created because everything was created. Yeah, God didn't make evil. Because God wouldn't do that.
So this is the problem. Okay, so
yeah.
But then, okay, so if evil isn't anything, there's no evil?
Right. So this is the absence of good.
So this, yeah. So yes. The classical definition in I'd say Christian theology, but I know most fully Catholic theology, the classical definition is that evil is the absence of a do good.
Is that also a philosophical?
Well, I don't know that.
Or no, we're not sure.
I don't.
Okay.
I mean, Christian philosophers will talk when they talk about yes, because that's not dependent upon what I just said is not dependent upon divine revelation.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, so it could be a philosophical position as well. So the absence, the lack of a do good. So a do good, a good that should be there.
Okay.
So
when you say do, you mean D-U-E, not
correct.
D-O.
Yes. So do. So when we say that okay, so this requires another. What I was about to say was, when we say that something is evil. So I want to pause there. This is going to be a long parenthetical.
Okay, get ready.
We use evil. What journalist? What form of speech is evil most often used as?
Well, it could be used as an adjective, or it's the receiver of the action. Is it? Yeah. Or a noun. It can be used in a lot of ways, but it can be used as a noun.
So what it can't. So which one is it usually used as? Do you think?
Well, you would say he is evil, or that thing is evil.
Which means
it's a description of that person.
Which and
an adjective.
So it's usually adjectival in nature. It's used to describe maybe someone,
right?
Sometimes something, not as common. Oftentimes an act. What you just did was evil or bad. bad, wrong, kind of. They're not the same strictly as evil, but they're, we usually say that was an evil act that you just performed.
Right.
That was a naughty thing, maybe we'd say. But we use it in the sense of it was evil. So an action, or sometimes a person, less often a thing, is described as evil. So evil is used in regard to someone or something.
Right.
So give me an example. Can you think of an example? I'm stalling right now by repeating myself. Imagine an example.
Of an evil? That's
where
really difficult.
you use the word evil.
Where I would use the word evil? It was evil to kick the dog in the head.
Okay. Kicking the dog in the head was an evil act.
Yes.
Why? Let's look at this definition. Evil is the absence of a do good.
Right.
So I should treat everyone and everything, but in this case, I should treat a dog in a particular way.
Right.
Now, a dog is not a person.
Right.
But a dog is still due some level of respect as a creature.
Yes.
And particularly as an animal
Right.
creature. Like we shouldn't, it's all the things that teenage boys do to animals. Some teenage boys, I should say.
Some teenage boys.
Not all teenage boys. Like just cruel. Like
who
it's
might
cruel.
be in prison later.
Right, exactly. Those things are wrong.
Yep.
They're wrong to do.
Mm-hmm.
We are supposed to treat all of creation with a certain level of respect.
Right.
We are here... we're the viceroys, the stewards of God's creation.
Yes.
But it's his creation.
Yeah.
So he's not going to be happy if I'm torturing the toads,
Right.
for example.
Even the toads, not just the dogs.
Not just the dogs.
Yeah.
So it's evil of me to kick the dog in the head because there's a good in terms of how I should treat the dog that is absent.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not treating the dog the way that I should. The way that the nature of my relationship with the dog should be one way, but there's a lack of a do good.
Mm-hmm. So the good could be either loving the dog and paying attention to the dog, but the good could also be, I'll ask the question, could it also be just not doing a bad to it,
Yeah.
I mean, ignoring the dog, perhaps, unless it needs something. But if it's just there, if you're not doing anything to it.
I oftentimes ignore dogs that aren't my dogs when I'm walking and it comes up to beep, beep, beep. I'm going to ignore it.
Right.
And that's.
But you're not going to kick it in the head.
But I'm not going to kick it in the head.
Right.
Unless the dog's attacking me.
Right.
Then it's self-defense, and then it gets
now you are
moral.
It's do the good of, hey, get off me.
Right. So the do good there is I'm protecting my kids, or myself,
right?
So, but that gets a bit more into evaluating moral act or how we morally evaluate acts.
Yeah,
but it does take. I remember my. I think it was either Peter Kraft, the Catholic philosopher, or Patrick Lee, another Catholic philosopher who teaches at Franciscan University Steubenville, who I took. Some philosophy classes from. And I think it was Dr. Lee, who, by the way, we all thought, boy, he looks a lot like Pierce Brosnan. He could be a lot of
James
tangents
Bond. Going on.
Anyway, look up Dr. Patrick Lee. He's grayer now than he was 25 years ago.
Okay.
If I'm going to kill you with an axe, that's an evil action, but it still takes a good sharp axe and a good swing of the axe. There's
a lot of description going on here, yes.
but so the things, so it takes a good kick, it takes a good shoe or boot or foot.
Okay, I see what you're saying, where you're going, yep.
But the evil, so where does the evil reside? In my intention.
Right.
And what's absent in what I have done.
Right.
Or what I failed to do.
Right.
We
talked.
Talked.
Yes.
That's part of what we said.
Yeah. And they are Father.
So evil is the absence of a do-good. Evil is not a substance, which has been created by God. Evil does not bring balance to the force, or God.
Right. That's an easy way to look at it because especially for movies, because
right.
It sets up nice stories that way. But yeah,
it does. But there's better stories that can be set up when you have when you have the philosophy and theology right.
True.
So, folks, if you're just tuning in, we're not talking. Well, it was a while ago. We were talking about Star Wars Christmas on May the 11th, and Dr. Patrick Lee and James Bond.
Yes, there's.
We're talking about evil and what it is and how we use it, and we're going to get here in the rest of the episode talking about. So, what does it say? Can we say somebody's evil and who is evil?
Yeah.
I'm your host, Dr. Chris Bergwald. Renae Kranz. That's who's talking about evil. So. You're talking about evil. We're talking about evil.
Yeah. Okay. So the other part of the question then too is are there evil beings? So maybe are people evil, but are there also things like demons and evil beings like that?
So this is where we do. It's important to make distinctions. This is why I raised the point about what form of speech do we most often use evil.
Right.
So if I said Adolf Hitler was an evil guy.
Mm-hmm.
People will be, I agree. In what sense do I mean that? In what sense do I mean it? In what sense would the Catholic Church say that's a true statement? In what sense might the Church say, might some philosophers, for that matter, say, actually, no, because...
Okay, I can't wait to hear this.
It's true in this, again, as an adjective. So we can say that someone is evil, if by that we mean that their actions have consistently been evil. So what we're saying is an evil person, Adolf Hitler was an evil guy. He did a lot of very evil things. He did a lot of things in which the do-good was lacking, to use very, again, clinical philosophical language.
Right.
So when we say somebody, let's up the game even more for us, those of us who are religious. Satan and the other fallen angels, the other demons, are evil.
Right.
By that, we most properly mean that they do evil things. To say somebody or something is evil.
Even the devil isn't just...
So the actions they do are evil. But Renae, what did I say at the very beginning? It's the absence of a do-good.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a substance, physical or spiritual.
Right.
Angels are spiritual substances. Angels are spiritual realities. Fallen angels are spiritual realities. Demons, including Satan, are spiritual realities.
Mm-hmm. So you can't say they're evil incarnate.
Their essence.
Right?
Because incarnate means enfleshed.
Right. Well, yes.
Yes. But it is, yes.
A person, you can't even say that.
That in their essence, they're evil. You cannot say that because they exist.
Right.
And insofar as something exists, it is good.
That's so hard to wrap your brain around sometimes, isn't it? When you're talking about someone like Hitler or someone like the devil.
The bad. Yeah. But insofar as they exist, because to exist is a good thing.
Right.
And there's going to get into a little bit of speculative things. So a lot of what I'm saying you'll find in the Catechism of the Catholic Church. There's a little bit here the Church has not officially defined, but insofar as something exists, it is good. But when you're talking about a moral agent, a person, whether angelic, including the demons, or human, they can do evil actions, and therefore their actions are evil. And in the sense that they commit evil actions, you could call them evil. But in their essence, what they are, their being, is never evil.
Right. And we also still, even though this seems completely impossible, we still can't judge their heart. Even though it seems their heart.
I think we can with the demons.
Well, yes. But even
not with human. Even
with Hitler, it seems like you should be able to say, well, look at all the things he did. Clearly his heart was as black as could be. But we really can't.
We can't
know that.
We don't know definitively. We will one day.
Right.
But we don't know definitively.
Right.
Definitively. And this is where, by the way, we're supposed to pray for our enemies.
Right.
Can we pray for, they're living today. Well, we pray for the souls in purgatory.
Mm-hmm.
So Hitler might possibly be in purgatory.
If he had a conversion right before he died, I suppose that's entirely possible.
It is. But let's use a living example though, or a current example. I don't know. Think of somebody Putin.
Sure. Everybody's hating on Putin right now, right?
Vladimir Putin. I should desire his conversion.
Right.
there probably is some blackness in his heart, but is all black? No.
Right.
All black.
Because there's always the God-shaped hole there, right?
There's always the God-shaped hole.
There has to be room for that to be.
So this is where the metaphors can break down. Like, can your heart be completely blackened? Well, if by that you mean somebody's going to go to hell,
right,
unless they convert. In that sense, yes. But so let's use somebody like a Hitler and Putin's not the worst example. I mean, there have been people, Stalin,
yes, Mao,
Osama bin Laden, Saddam Hussein. I think they've all done far worse things anyway. But a big baddie in world history, what they do is evil. Are they, in their essence, pure evil? No.
Right.
Morally, they're evil.
Right.
Essentially, no. Our position is that they have dignity.
Right.
Which they can never, no matter how horrendous they are, they can never completely eradicate their human dignity.
Right.
And that dignity comes from the fact that they exist, and the human beings that exist. Insofar as something exists, it is good.
Is this why the church now, there's interpretations about this as far as the death penalty is, but is this why in general the church doesn't love the death penalty?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
The reason that the church has been okay and still is okay with the death penalty when it's used as a way to protect the criminal himself from himself potentially, right, or society. So that's still possible.
Okay.
If like in our country, our prisons are secure enough where generally
right,
that doesn't happen.
Right.
There might be so.
Yeah.
But the insofar as something exists, it is good. So this is why and this is more the speculation. It helps to answer this question: why doesn't God just annihilate Satan and the demons or bad human beings? Why? And this is going to get a bit mind-bending and maybe even a bit paradoxical or scandalous for some people. Why does God allow Satan to continue to exist? And,
that's a great question.
It's not just my answer, but I think it's a true answer. Because insofar as the demons exist, because in their essence as angelic spiritual beings, they add something to the good of the universe.
That is mine, yes.
Even though by their actions, they try to subvert the good of the universe, by their essence, they add to the goodness of the universe.
Can they be converted?
The angels, no.
Okay.
But this is so this is why
that's why that's
some,
so
including
difficult.
myself, then why does he continue to hold? Because God is always holding them existence.
Right.
This gets into the topic that we're not going to have time for today.
Right.
The blind watchmaker. We'll
right.
talk about that later.
Yes. Yes.
But God is always holding everything in existence. Why does he hold the demons in existence? Some, and I would be one of them, would say, well, because even though we acknowledge the bad and the evil that they do, that's definitely true. In fact, in an essential way, they add to the goodness of the created order.
Yeah, that's really hard to understand. But there are lots of things that are hard to understand.
Yeah.
Frankly.
Yeah.
But it's true. I can see how that's true.
The implication for human beings, though, I think this is every human. You can never completely eradicate your dignity. We were talking about this earlier. So Hitler, even though he sent millions of Jews and other people to the gas chambers and caused, through just the violence of war, the deaths of tens of millions more, retained human dignity. And there was still goodness, not in his moral actions.
Right.
Well, there's probably some sliver.
He was
of
probably
goodness.
very nice to the people he liked.
Exactly. So that way, great. But in his essence, metaphysically, there's goodness.
Right.
Even in Adolf Hitler.
Right.
because evil is the absence of a do-good, and Adolf Hitler is something.
Mm-hmm.
Evil is not something. Pure evil is not a substance. Pure evil is the lack of a good that should be there.
So there's not a cloud of evil floating around like in some movies that takes over other people.
No, exactly. Yep. Nope.
I hate when, I suppose you could, a lot of times they said like, this is a demon coming and gonna possess you. And
Right.
so on.
But a demon is still not pure evil.
Right.
A demon is a personal being, an angelic being that does morally bad, evil things.
Right.
Just like, as I can do morally bad, evil things, unfortunately. They do eviler stuff. Eviler stuff.
Okay, that was really interesting.
So we have 2 minutes left, Renee. So,
okay, so no evil beings.
Yep.
To wrap up. Well,
no evil beings in the
beings.
sense that their essence is not evil.
The devil can't be converted.
Yep.
Why can he not be converted?
Because angelic beings know that their intellects are superior to ours, like Khan's.
Oh, now we got a Star Trek reference.
We got it. His is a superior intellect. The angels have superior intellects.
Okay. And they know better. Is that the deal?
So when they make an action, they see all of the implications of their decision.
And then they're still evil.
So they
still do evil things.
That's the mystery. This is why evil is irrational. It doesn't make sense. Why?
Yeah.
Especially for an angelic being. Why? It doesn't make sense. You're committing. You're choosing for the rest of your existence.
So they have
for all time.
Yeah.
You're choosing to be miserable.
So they have some disordered desire that is.
They didn't have a disordered desire.
No?
They were perfectly ordered.
It arose. So hard to understand.
It arose. For whatever, usually the speculation is with the angels, with Satan and the others, pride.
Right. Okay.
Pride.
Well, that's a disordered desire, isn't it?
Right, but he didn't have pride until he committed the act of pride, which is where it gets confusing. Why would you do that? Why would you do?
Why? Yeah. I don't.
It doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't.
It does not make sense.
And I think that's where it just becomes very difficult for people sometimes.
Evil is irrational.
Yeah.
Sin, the Catechism says, is an offense. It's an offense against many things, but the first things it lists is reason. Sin is an offense against reason.
Yeah.
Doing evil things does not make sense. And for angels, they knew it all from the beginning. So, evil.
Crazy.
It is.
My mind is blown right now.
All right. Well, think about it, pray about it, ponder it.
Okay, I will.
Thanks, Renee.
Yeah, thanks.
And that will wrap up this episode of Ignition. Again, you can email us, ignition@sfcatholic.org, with any thoughts, questions, or ideas for future episodes. And until next time, may God bless you.